Hi everybody, my name is Suze and I work with women to help them find balance between their internal masculine and feminine energies so that they can have lives that feel really emotionally fulfilling, full of love and connection. So today I'm wearing a little sweater and I did my hair differently. Let me know, you guys, those of you who follow me, let me know what you think of my hair today. I'm kind of curious, I'm trying something different. Just feeling a totally different kind of vibe today. I feel like my Taurus moon is really showing today. I'm surrounding myself with all these fine textures and things that feel really good. This sweater is one of my favorites because it feels like a blanket. And then I have a little blankie in my lap here with me. And I'm just really surrounding myself with those things that feel really good and really just help me kind of ground in and settle in. If any of you saw my oracle card drawing for yesterday, the grounding energy actually did come up in the oracle card reading, and I'm definitely feeling the need for that today. There's a lot of excitement, which is good, a lot of inspiration and excitement and new perspectives that I'm feeling today, and it might be partly because of this full moon that we're in today. But I'm feeling a lot of excitement, and with that excitement can come overwhelm, right? So just trying to kind of ground in, let myself see what's happening. Before I get into the message for today, I do want to send a message out to anyone who's listening to me today on the day of the full moon in Capricorn, just to let you know. I've had quite a few divine feminines over the past few days reaching out to me and letting them know about some really big emotional stuff that's coming up for them right now. And so if that is you, if you're really in a space of a lot of really big, strong emotion that you're working through, just know that it's okay and you're right exactly where you're supposed to be. And this is just a thing that a lot of divine feminines are going through right now. This full moon is really powerful, a lot more powerful than I think any of us were really expecting. And it's really setting us up for walking into this summer season and really doing some big things in partnerships, whatever it may be, partnerships with work, partnerships with money, partnerships with friendships, partnerships with family members, partnerships in romantic partnerships. There's a lot of heavy work that's going to be done in that realm this summer. So if you're in a space right now of feeling a lot of big, powerful emotion, slow down, take your time, go into the grounding. Everything is going to be okay. Move slowly through this. You're gonna be okay. So today's message, I want to talk about what your anxiety is telling you. Anxiety and anxious attachment is something that I've talked about a few times on this channel, and the anxious attachment is something that I know is kind of getting a lot of attention right now with therapy and with like relationship healing and different people that talk about different things of relationship and emotional healing. The anxious attachment style is definitely getting a lot of attention, and generally speaking, women tend to fall more on the anxious attachment style of relational attachment, right? But the thing with anxious attachment that I think isn't really being brought to the forefront enough is a few things. First of all, how you do one thing is how you do everything. We've heard that before. You also may have heard everything is connected, and everything is attachment. Everything in this human existence is attachment in some way, shape, or form. And so, sorry, I got a notification, distracted me. And so if you are in the anxious attachment style in your relationships, that same kind of anxious attachment style is going to show up in other aspects of your life. So healing this anxiety goes a lot more deeply and impactful than I think we may realize. This is not just about relationships. This is about how you react or respond to any kind of emotionally triggering event that may be happening. in any aspect or area of your life. So that being said, I also want to note that I'm noticing in having some intimate conversations with people, I'm noticing how sometimes people, and this was me too, like this is years of working through anxiety and anxious. I have disorganized attachment, so part of that is anxious attachment and part of it is avoidant. But on the anxious end of things for myself, I didn't really realize how much of the time I was experiencing anxiety. And what I mean is, in having conversations with other people as well, it's interesting to me how sometimes we can identify really quickly and easily, oh, I'm in a state of anxiety right now, or oh, I'm experiencing anxiety. But then there's other times in our life when we're experiencing emotions and we're not actually recognizing that it's anxiety and anxious attachment. And I'm hearing this or seeing this as I'm speaking with people, and I'm literally feeling their energy, and I'm feeling the anxiety emanating off of them, and they're not recognizing that they're actually in a state of anxiety, because we think anxiety is this one thing in a box over here, but anxiety actually is way bigger than we think, if that makes any sense. It's really, this anxiety and nervous energy is like everywhere whenever there's any sort of emotional dysfunction within ourselves, or emotional karmic loops that we tend to do, or emotional self-sabotage. A lot of the times that comes from an anxiety response. It's anxiety at the root that then blossoms up into this really bigger problem where we tend to self-sabotage or get into impulsive behavior or go for the instant gratification thing instead of the truly, really fulfilling, big picture thinking, fulfilling emotional thing, right? Like 10 of Cups type energy. And we kind of sell ourselves short, so to speak. And that all leading back to self-worth. I'm not going to go into all of that, but you can hear it. Like if you're selling yourself short for a temporary gratification or instant gratification right now, instead of having a little patience, learning to work through the nervousness and the anxiety to get to the other side, to get to the true satisfying, fulfilling thing on the other end, you're selling yourself short, which is signifying a lower sense of self-worth than where you really could be. And I'll be going into that later, all of that. I'm really unraveling an onion here with this mother wound stuff. This is all still falling under the category of emotional neglect and mother wound in childhood. Again, no shame on the mother. It simply is the fact that every human walking this earth, none of us, not one of us, ever had all of our emotional needs fully and totally met in childhood, because it is absolutely impossible. So now the responsibility does fall on our shoulders to see how our needs were not able to be met in childhood and how that's affecting how we are now showing up in our relationships as adults, right? So it's self-responsibility here. So back to the idea of the anxious attachment and anxiety, or that nervous energy inside of you. I think if we really understand what's happening, anytime you feel it's like that bubbling up of that nervous energy inside you, which is with anxiety, you may recognize it more easily if you find yourself in a state of this sense of urgency, or even a slight like frantic-y, kind of panicky, kind of grabbing onto this overwhelming urge inside of you of like, I need to know something, right? Like someone needs to tell me something to make me feel okay, or I need information now about this thing so that I will feel okay and that I can calm myself down. And there's this element of abandoning yourself, avoiding yourself, going out into anxiety, grasping onto someone or something else to create a false or a temporary or a superficial sense of calm. Instead of going inward in yourself and recognizing I already have all the answers inside of me, and if I've learned to connect really deeply with my intuition, with my heart space, I already have the answers I need in there. And the answers are actually not up in here, they're actually down here. And this is where you really start to take your power back. And obviously, trusting your intuition, trusting your heart is its own process that clearly I'm not getting into. I simply want to create some parameters for seeing anxiety in a way where you can learn to take your power back and learn to turn it into self-empowerment. Because that's all healing is, in my opinion. Healing is self-empowerment. Turning all these negative aspects of yourself or all these things you're judging and shaming about yourself, learning how to turn them into good. Alchemy, right? Alchemy. Turning everything into, bringing the shadows into the light and turning it into love. That's all this entire process is of healing, in my opinion. So anytime I could take a negative experience or a negative emotion or energy and twist it so that we can find empowerment and a way out of that diminishing behavior or sense of self, that is liberation, that is freedom, that is self-love, that is sovereignty, that is healing, that is wholeness, that is integration and balance of masculine and feminine. So when you're in that state of that nervous energy, and again, you can easily recognize it when there's this panic of like, I need to know something, I need someone to tell me something, or I need to quickly go out looking for validation or this information that I need to tell me that everything's okay or to calm me down in some kind of a way. When you're in that space, you are in anxiety. And as I've said before in previous videos, talking specifically about anxious attachment is simply the avoidance of self. Again, so you got to come back in here. So here's the thing. In my studies and in my work and in my healing work with myself around my mother wound and having an absent mother, my mother passing early in childhood and not having my mother, I learned a lot about, as adults, different emotional states and what they signify at the core that goes all the way back to childhood of the need that was not actually met in childhood that then develops into a trauma response such as anxiety in adulthood. And so with anxiety, if we can strip it back and really simplify it and understand that if I'm experiencing anxiety or if I'm experiencing an overwhelming nervous energy in my body, it's simply telling me I need protection. Anxiety is a need for protection. And what is it that we think we need to protect here? We think we need to protect our heart space. And if any of you have watched my video that I did a bit ago talking about boundaries, a lot of people look at them as protecting. I don't really like to look at them as protecting, but we're gonna kind of pull it into this way of speaking for the purposes of this video, just to make it clear and to create some calmness and clarity around what we're talking about here. So if we think, and I'm using the word think specifically, we think in anxiety, we think there's a threat and we need some sort of protection, then we're thinking that we need to protect our hearts. So then boundaries do come into play, because boundaries do make us feel like we are more safe and protected. I like to use the word support. Boundaries are for supporting the things that we value, the heart space. So if you're in a state of overwhelming nervousness or anxiety, recognize I need to feel safe. I need to feel protected here. My heart space is feeling vulnerable and exposed. I'm afraid something bad is gonna happen to me, or I'm afraid something bad is gonna happen out there that will then affect me negatively. I'm afraid that if I keep going down this path, something bad is going to ultimately happen because past experiences have told me that if I open my heart and if I follow my heart, or if I wildly and blindly trust my intuition, even though the physical reality wants to tell me all these other things and my mind wants to tell me all these other things, I need to protect, again, I'm using that term very loosely, protect or support my heart. Now, if you're supporting your heart, you're valuing the energy emanating from your heart. You're valuing your own energy and where you choose to invest your energy. So if you're in, say it's a relational thing, a partnership thing, and you're feeling anxious about opening your heart more deeply and vulnerably to the other person because you're afraid ultimately you're going to get hurt or abandoned or rejected or whatever it may be, shamed, judged, whatever it may be, and you're in a state of anxiety about that, you have to go back in and support the needs of your heart, validate and reassure your heart and the value of an open heart, and then choose wisely if you really should invest the heart energy in this space or not. Maybe I'm not going to invest my energy over there because it actually doesn't add any energy to the things I actually want. And that's what happens a lot with anxiety. You get in this state of panic and nervousness about something that you're afraid that may or may not ever happen. And the more you pour energy from your heart into that thing, you're creating more energy around that negative thought or that negative feeling or that negative thing that you don't actually want. So this is where the self boundaries come into place. I'm going to choose to no longer engage in that activity or whatever the thing is that I do when I go into that state of anxiety, and I'm going to pull back into myself. Let my own heart energy feed and nourish and wash over me. Let myself do whatever I need to do to, again, ground down, to find safety and security with myself, by myself, without outside influences. Whatever tools, healthy tools that I have to come back to myself, focus on myself, slow down, nurture myself. And in so doing, valuing your own heart space, using your own heart energy to pour into yourself, which is self-love. I'm going to stop this video here because I don't really want to go much longer. I like to keep my videos around 15 minutes and I've already gone over. If you found value in this video, please do subscribe. Drop me a comment below what you feel, what you think about this video. I love all of you who've been here with me and are contributing and building a community here with me. If you're new and you did find value, please do subscribe to support my channel and to help me get my message out there to more people. I'm sending so much love to you all. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.